Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Invitation to Puzzles, where today we have a Blobz puzzle. You may remember that we recently did a Renbon puzzle with a very similar grid to this. That one was called Enhance. This one is called Reduce, because we've switched from German Whispers to Renbon now. Sorry, we switched from Renbon then to German Whispers now. So I'll go over what those rules mean, but if you're interested in trying it yourself, there's a link down in the description. Okay, so what these green lines mean is that if we put adjacent digits along a green line, it is mandatory that those adjacent digits differ by at least 5. So, for example, you cannot put a 7 next to an 8, but you can put a 1 next to a 6. You can also put a 2 next to a 9. They just have to differ by a minimum of 5. Also, these little circles talk about the 4 cells around them, and they list digits that definitely occur within the 4 cells around them. So there's at least 1 2 and at least 1 3 in these cells, at least 1 7 and at least 1 8 in these cells. And that's the rules. So if you want to give it a go, the link is in the description. And so let's endeavor to do this ourselves. One thing I'm immediately inclined to think about is 5s, because you can't ever put a 5 on a green line, because there aren't any digits that differ by at least 5 from 5. I'm not sure that's a productive line of reasoning, though. One thing I do see that might be productive is that because of this 2 6, this cell can't be a 2, so the 2 is actually around here. And so this number here is either 2 or it's next to a 2. So that means that this is from 2, 7, 8, 9. Okay, here's a much better, this is actually a much better quadruple for me to look at. One of these cells is a 6. And I don't think I know which one it is, but I know it's not that one or that one, because both of these, there's only one number that 6 can go next to on a green line, and that number is 1. So if I made either of these a 6, it would have the downside that I'd have to put 2 1s next to it. And Sven gets very unhappy if I do this. You can see the irate color of that red. So therefore, one of these two is a 6. I don't know which one. But that's actually quite nice, because it tells me that that digit is a 1. And that's owing to the fact that it's next to a 6. I don't know where the 6 is, but it's next to it. Okay, so these numbers have to go next to a 1, so they're from 6, 7, 8, 9. And now the 2 on this quadruple has to go here. And 2, as it happens, goes next to 7, 8, 9. Oops. Okay. Now, it's useful to note these are all the numbers that we usually classify as high. These numbers we usually classify as low. And one of the properties of German Whispers is that they alternate between a 6, 7, 8, 9 number and a 1, 2, 3, 4 number. Remember, 5s just aren't allowed at the party at all. Okay, I don't know exactly how this German Whisper works. But I know that these two are the same high-lowity. They're either both high or both low. And therefore, they're not a 2-7 pair, is in particular all I really want to claim. And therefore, this digit's always a 2 or a 7. Because whichever high-lowity this is the digit from this quadruple that's around the other one. Okay, one of these two is a 2 for purposes of this quadruple. This one can't be a 6. That were a 6, that would be a 2. Let's see, is there some digit in here that just can't be... it's this one. this number can't be high, is the point. If this number is high, no, it can't be low. No, that's not true either. Darn it. Sorry, no, it's neither of those statements is true. I don't think. It's almost true. Ish, kind of. I can, if I would like, mark that these are from 3, 4, 5. 4 on this quadruple is somewhat similar to 6 on the other quadruple, where 4 only goes next to 9. So I can't put a 4... Oh, no, I can put a 4 here, can't I? Annoyingly, I can put a 4 there. So it's not quite as good. Because both of those can be 9, and it's okay. I'm certainly not putting the 4 there, though. So one of these cells is a 4, and if either of these cells is a 4, then this one is a 9. Otherwise, this one's a 4, and, well, therefore this one's a 4. So this is always a 4 or a 9, is at least what I'm willing to say. So these are either 9 or low. Because if they're low, they're next to if they're high, then that means the 4 is over here and it's a 9. In particular, that's a really convoluted way of saying that this digit is a 7. And therefore, these two digits are low. And now one of these digits has to be a 9, and it can only be this one. Okay, so these are from 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. There are 1, 2, because those are the only numbers that are next to 7, and we actually know the order. That's a 2, and that's a 1. Okay, these numbers aren't 9. That one's not 7. One of these two is 7. So one of these two is 8, is a funny statement. Because these can't be a 7-8 pair, of course. I do know these are a 3-4 pair. I should probably fill that in. So these are 5, 6, 8, just for purposes of keeping track. Yeah, there's a funny recurring pattern here where this digit can't be 5. Let me try to draw in something that will show that. So the cells in the corner 4 boxes that can be 5 are as follows. And now it is not at all clear. But in fact, if I try and make this cell a 5, what happens is that forces this cell to be a 5 and this cell to be a 5. And the problem is that puts 0 5s in box 1. Okay, but that's disgusting and ugly and horrendous, and no one wants to think about that. What's really going on here is that in these 4 boxes, I need 4 total 5s. And those 5s live in column 1, column 9, row 1, and row 9. Okay, so that's 4 row columns and 4 boxes for 4 5s. So one consequence is I better not put a 5 in any of these cells or there's going to be disaster because I've got to put... But in fact, I have to put 1 5 in each of those houses, each of those rows and columns. And the problem is if I choose a corner, I've actually overlapped one of the 5s. That is, if I put a 5 here, it's in both row 1 and column 9. And now I only get 3 total 5s in boxes 1, 3, 7, and 9. And 3 is not the number of 5s that need to be in 4 Sudoku boxes. So in fact, the consequence of this is that whenever we have this kind of pattern, actually none of these digits can ever be 5. Okay. And I note that because I see that if I note this, then I know that that's a 3-4 and that's a 3-4. That makes this a 3-4 pair, which actually makes this a 5. Makes that a 3-4 as well. Okay, so these are now a 6-8 pair. Makes that a 5. This is not an 8 anymore. Okay, so that's a 5, just following that over into this box, and now that's a 5, following it over into that box. Oh, I didn't notice this. I have a 2-7 looking down at my 2-7 quad, so actually this is also a 2 or a 7. So those are the 2 and the 7. So that's not a 2. And this just can't be a 7, because if this was a 7, this would be a 1 or a 2, and by these two boxes it can't be. So actually this is the 2. This is the 7. And this is an 8-9, because it's not a 7 anymore by that 7. Okay, and that places the 2 over on this over here. So we go low, low, high. Okay, that's not a 7 anymore. This could be 1, 3, or 4, I think, without much problem. Okay, the low digit, I'm going to note this on this 2-segment long whisper, is a 3 or a 4, which means the high digit can only be an 8 or a 9. I'm going to note that just for my sanity, because it might come up later. You see that one of these two cells is a 2 just by Sudoku. We still know that one of these two cells is a 7, and 7 only goes with 1 or 2. Okay, I do see, I don't know if this is helpful. I can't put both 2 and 6 on here, because if I put 6, it has to go on an end, and then the middle would be a 1, and then the other end would be high. So one of 2 and 6 gets kicked off of this this whisper and ends up there. Okay, oh, I don't know that this helps a lot, but certainly one of these two is an 8 by this 7-8 quadruple, and so that one isn't. That one's a 6. It's an 8. Oh, I should do the same thing over here. One of these two digits is a 3, and therefore the 3 on this quad is over here. If it's here, then it makes these... Oh, that just doesn't work. This can't be a 3. Because if this is a 3, these are an 8-9 pair. Those are the only digits that can go next to 3, but the 8 needs to be over here somewhere. So none of that. So that's not the 3, so this is. These are low. That is a 3. So this is a 1 or a 4. This digit is high. It is an 8 or a 9. This is 3, then that's the other 8, 9 for the row. This is 3, those are an 8, 9 pair. have a virtual 8-9 pair in this column, because one of these is an 8 or a 9, because this either is an 8 or a 9, or it's a 3 or a 4, which puts an 8 or a 9 there. But I don't think that is the key to happiness in this puzzle, if I am guessing. Here's an easier point. Although it's hard to see, but I think once I point it out, I think you'll say it's an easier point. What is the low digit in these two cells? There has to be one. It's not a 2 or a 3, and it can't actually be a 4 because that's a 9. So the low digit here is always a 1, which actually makes that a 4, which is going to unravel some amount of these digits around here. Okay, so yeah, one of these is low, and it is a 1. And we know one of these two is a 4 just by Sudoku. Oh, this is now a naked high because we've got the 1 over here, 2, 3, 4. So this digit's now high, and that digit is low. 7, 8, 1, 2, 3 is what's happening there. We do know one of these two is 5, and the other one's high. Oops. Or 5 high pair, if you like, if you're into that kind of nomenclature. One of these two is 4, the other's high. The same story. This is only low if it's a 3. So this is only low if it's a 3. If it is a 3, then this is a 9. It's the only low that it can be. Sorry, it's the only high that can go next to a 3 that can go in this cell. Otherwise, this is the low, and it's a 1, 2, in which case then this seems to be able to be 6, 7, or 8. Which is, you might note, less restrictive. Okay, what else am I missing here? Like, even this being 6, 1 is probably fine. It would put a 6 there, exactly. With a 1 there. Oh, no, this can't be a 6. Okay, well, that exact combination doesn't work. For a convoluted reason involving what's down here. Because if this is a 6, then this is 6, 1, except then that forces the 6 to go this way, and now I've got a 6, 1 looking at a 6, 1 in a way that is not great. So that actually tells me that there's a 6 in one of these cells, because I can put a 6 in either of these without, well, that one just can't be a 6 at all, and if I put a 6 in this one, it breaks this clue down here. So the 6 is horizontal, which means there's a 6 horizontally up here. Now, notably, this being a 6, 1, I don't think breaks in the same way. Love that to be the 6, because then this cell would look at every low digit, because this cell's only low if it's a 1. I do see one of these two cells as a 2. Yeah, I wonder if I should be doing more Sudoku. These are certainly 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not a 7. Ones. Who's? Oh, wait, no, it's just there. This is the 2, because where is 2 in this row? It's in one of these 3 cells, except it can't be in that one or that one. So this is the 2. That's a weird geometry thing, but anyway, that makes that the 2. And now the 4 is placed here, I believe, because we said that can't be a 4. Yes, I agree, that can't be a 4. So, so that's a 4, 4, 9. Okay. So this is high, just by the row now. So that makes that low and that high, making this the 7 and the 1. So this is an 8 or a 9. So these are an 8-9 pair, in fact. Oh, except that was a 4. How long has this been a 4? Depressingly long is the answer. Okay, so he may have done that in a way that was more complicated than was strictly necessary, by which I mean, good lord. But anyway, so let's see, that lets us fill that in. The 8 therefore goes here, making this a 1. Yeah, we overcomplicated that because 4 only goes next to 9, and I just did not fill it in. Good memories of past traumas. Okay, that you may have seen on the channel. That is a 7, only goes next to 1. This is certainly low, so it's certainly not a 6. In fact, just is a 2. Okay, this can't be a 4 anymore because 4 can't go next to 9 because that can't be a 9 anymore, so can go like that. So we can go 9, 3, 8 is how that's going to go. That places this 2 down here. That now says the 6 goes somewhere along here, which means it goes in one of these 2 cells next to a 1, as previously discussed. So these are a pair of 6 in the other one. This is a 4. Okay, these are also 6 in the other one, except that's the one that's the 7 by Sudoku. Okay, so this is a 2 by Sudoku. That 7 looks down at that 6. Let's just place a 2. Okay. This digit is something. It is a 6. It does make the 6 in this box be vertical. Let's see. These are a 3 and a 9 is what these are. So that is the 3. That's the 9. Let's see. It's only high if it's 4, which would make that a 9. That's sorry, only low if it's 4, is what I meant to say. This is just not high because all the highs in the row are gone. So this is low and this is high. So this is 3 or 4, and so this is 8 or 9, and it can only be 9 of those. Unfortunately, that doesn't tell me what that one was. This is now the 1 for this row, making that the 6. Sorts out the 5 and the 6 up here. 8 here. Makes that a 5. This is a 3, 4, therefore. So this is the 8 for the box by a Sudoku. This digit's not high anymore because if it were high, it would be a 6, but then that would have to be a 1, and it can't be for manifold reasons. So in fact, that's the high and that's the low. Sorry, this is the low and that's the... I don't know why I can't do that today. So it's a 4 and a 9. So that is a 1 and a 7. Let's see. So this is a high of some description. Seems to be a 9. This 3, 4, if I look at where it goes in this box, it goes there. However, it is not a 4, it's a 3. So I can fill in that. This seems to be a 5, which I could have placed a long time ago, actually, if I'd thought about it, because I actually knew that one of these two was a 5 and one of these two was a 5, so that as well as one of these two was a 5 and one of these two was a 5, I've known since time immemorial. That would have let me place the 5 there if I'd have thought about it. Okay, one of these is a 3, the other is a 5, and I don't know what order they go in yet. One of these is a 6, and the other one is a 5, and I don't know what order they go in yet. One of these is a 3, and the other one is an 8, and I do know what order they go in. That one is a 3, and that one's the 8. Which has given me the 5 and the 3 over here. Which has given me the 6 and the 5 over here, which has given me the 6 over here, which makes that a 7, and... Oh, no, not a 7. Not a 7. Sorry. Makes this a 4. And our last digit. Very nice. There's a lot of really cool steps in that one. I enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it as well. Do please give the video a like. Do please subscribe if you're enjoying the series so that you can see more. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.